Cullen Haynes, and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, episode 85. Can you believe it? And my next guest is an absolute powerhouse, been in the legal world for over 32 years, 24 years in law, and we did 6 years before that as a law clerk. So I'm very well versed, and we're going to be talking about the generalist edge in a world that's going all the way to specialization. You have to niche down, you have to do this, you have to do that. We're going back to the roots and what it means to be a true advocate and legal professional that, looks after everyone that comes after them. So can you please make very welcome, who has been a friend of mine, and we've been connected since we started our business in 2018, principal and mediator at Melia Lawyers. Can you please welcome Mr. John Melia? How are you, John? Welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, LawLive, sir.
I'm good, Cullen. How are you?
Very well, mate. And this has been 8 years in the making, my friend.
I know, 8 years in the making.
No, indeed,
Time
indeed.
flies.
And if you're, it does indeed, my friend. And if you're tuning in, please remember this is live. It is now 5:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time here on the 22nd of April, just before Anzac Day long weekend. So we are beaming live to you on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, and of course TikTok. We got the TikTok going on. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And remember, you can rewatch on YouTube or re-listen to wherever you get your podcast. Give us a cheeky follow as well. But the question everyone wants to know is, what is happening in your circle of influence right now, John? Tell us what's going on, my friend.
At the moment, there's a lot of work around, and I'm sure a lot of your other guests would probably say the same thing. There's a lot of litigation about. I think some of it may still be leftovers from the catch-up with COVID. Others are matters that are just sort of things that are happening on a daily basis to people out there. And I think as the economy struggles and changes, people are getting more desperate to sort of look for ways to recoup their losses. So, yeah, there's a lot of work.
I think so. And you've had a long and storied life. We were talking offline about this. That you were a law clerk. You studied the law when your children were very, very young in nappies and whatnot. Like, how would you explain your long and storied life in just film titles?
Let's see. We would be looking at. I would think the Fast and the Furious, because it's been a fast and furious trip through the decades to get to where we are today. Purely because it's just been flat stick and go since day one. So when you make that decision to, go to law school or study as a mature age student, and you've got a family and you're trying to work full time, it's really hard. So you're on the go. You don't stop, and it is just, as you probably know, you don't stop.
Look, you're right, and we'll talk about work-life balance in a moment. But sometimes, when you're building that business, doing your putting in the effort, sometimes it's work-life quality rather than the balance, right? So sometimes you'll be at work, sometimes you'll be having to spend time with your family, but sometimes when you're with your family, you might have to duck off for some work. It's all about that work-life quality. But you switching gears a little bit, you have forged your path as a true generalist in a world pushing specialization. What makes you still win in this kind of environment now with AI that everyone's becoming a generalist because they can do anything? Maybe it's becoming more in vogue to be a generalist. Tell me how Melia Lawyers and your good self still win in this market and over the years.
So I find in the marketplace, we're still able to deliver, or I'm still able to deliver a different type of service that people are longing for. And that is one-on-one, down-to-earth, real advice. They want to sit down and see their lawyer. They want to talk to them. They don't want to talk to 2 or 3 other lawyers before they get to their lawyer who's handling the matter. They want to sit down one-on-one. They want someone who listens and cares. Part of our job is listening and being able to understand what the needs are of the client. And that's something that I think gets lost in a lot of bigger firms, especially when there's more than one lawyer handling a matter or a file, and people can sort of feel like they're lost, or clients can feel like they're lost. And that's where generalists have a sort of niche in terms of we can cover the main areas that everyday people need.
Yes.
We can explain it in a very basic and down-to-earth manner.
Yes.
And if we don't, and if we can't, we do refer them out. Or we'll work with some of the big firms who are specialists in certain areas, like tax, or we'll send them to a tax law firm. We'll send them where they need to go. We'll brief counsel who are specialists in certain areas. And I think that's how we've been able to survive as either a generalist or boutique firm, where we offer a certain niche to the public that there's a gap there. And that's what they're sort of missing out on.
No, and I want to unpack that a little bit more from right at the start. Take us back from claims management to launching Melia Lawyers. Like, what shaped your lens as a lawyer to being the principal and mediator you are now?
Effectively wanting to, and this is a key theme that's come across through my journey in the law, wanting to do it better, wanting to do things better, wanting to be better. So, for instance, when I was handling claims and doing claims management, I was curious about the law and how the law impacted people that had claims and how that affected them. And then I wanted to learn more. And then as a law clerk, I was interested in learning the law and seeing how it worked, and then looking at other lawyers and how people practiced and thinking, you know what, we can be done better. You can treat people better. And not just clients, staff as well, or other lawyers. We can treat each other better. We can be kind to each other. We don't have to be adversarial to each other. We're all in the same profession. We all have the same struggles. We all have the same pressures. Why can't we all just treat ourselves like we'd like to be treated? And that's one of the issues. A lot of practitioners forget that at the end of the day, we're all human. We go home, we've got families, we've got people that we love, we've got other commitments or issues going on in the background that we don't know about. And we need to understand or be kind to each other and respect each other. And I think that gets lost along the way. So the thing for me was always to do it better. And then eventually I decided to put up my own shingle, as they say, because I wanted to do it differently and do it better. And it's been going well ever since. So it hasn't stopped for, I think, about 17 years on my own. So, yeah.
Well said there, John. I think you're trying to infuse a little bit of Shakespearean philosophy in there as well. I think that was Shylock in The Merchant of Venice that says, if you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? Like, I think you're trying to humanize the law and the delivery of law and being a person at the end of the day, right?
Correct. And that's all clients want you to be, a person. Just tell them what they need to know, be human, and move on. But we need to respect each other as practitioners. And I think that gets lost along the way, which is sad. So when everyone goes to law school, there's this camaraderie, there's friendships. And then for some reason along the way, when we go and practice or we commence practice, we forget about all that and we start treating each other like crap, and adversarially we are opposed to each other, and it just doesn't work out.
No,
there's no need for that. There's no need for that.
No, well said. And yeah, be kind to each other. Remember, everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle that you know nothing about. Plato.
You would never know. You would never know what's going on. And, they just might be having a bad day, but you don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Good point. But you've worked across a number of environments. You've worked at, firms like Mills Oakley, boutique practice. What environment taught you the most about clients and outcomes, would you say, John?
Mills Oakley was excellent. I got the best education and grounding of how to do things properly from day one. It was fantastic. The principals there, they were fantastic. They taught us well. They taught us properly how to practice ethically and how to treat people. It was fantastic. So it was I was very lucky to have that as a learning ground.
So if anyone from Mills Oakley is watching, any partners to graduates or what have you, make sure you give you a shout out to your peers, because apparently it was a great place to work. Good culture, you'd say as well, John.
Great culture, was great. And, it was just a great time to learn and a great time you were given the opportunity to develop, grow. There were days I was running maybe 3 trials in 3 different courts. That's how much they allowed you to develop and do what you had to do. So
incredible.
It was a great experience, and you couldn't pay for that.
No, absolutely. Or shortcut it. Now you've got, although you are a generalist, you do have some work that you do very well on personal injury, wills and estates, but you are a nationally accredited mediator. And so I'd love to ask you, and you said it a little bit before about being kind. When does a lawyer stop fighting and start resolving?
So effectively, mediation, and in particular, I'm also a collaboratively trained lawyer. So with family law, we look at collaborative law practice. So instead of 10 paces at the court, collaborative family law is more about sitting around the table with husband and wife, having lawyers who are not adversarial, who are also collaboratively trained. And we might have a coach in the middle, or a financial person like yourself, or an accountant who can help crunch the numbers with family law.
Yes.
And we try and sit around the table, and we may meet 3 or 4 times to try and mediate and give a resolution. It's a better way to go, because it's not as costly and as expensive as court. With mediation work, what I find is courts now have it in their practice and procedure notes that mediation is mandatory. So you'll commence legal cases or proceedings, and there'll be an issue for mediation. All right, there'll be an order that mediation takes place. So in that setting, rather than try and allow the lawyers to run off and just say no offers, you've got to try and encourage each party, or the plaintiff or defendant, to look at and consider why it's better to try and come up with alternative propositions or resolutions to resolve a matter. It works well. Some cases just can't be settled, unfortunately. They do have to go, and a judge, who's the final umpire, has to determine it. But in most cases, mediation is the best outcome and opportunity for the parties to, A, be able to have a say in the outcome they're getting.
Yes.
B, say loss, and C, if they go to court, they're not going to like what the judge will do to them. That'll be it. One party's going to win, one's going to lose. That's it.
So do you believe that a mediation is something that where people walk away and they don't get everything that they want? If they walk away unhappy,
Correct.
That's a good outcome. I've heard that said before.
Correct. So not everyone at mediation is going to get 100% of what they want.
No.
And if each party walk away a little bit, they didn't get everything, they're not really happy, then it went well. If mediation was one-sided, then I think it failed. And it fails to do what it do. Yeah.
I will say before we get to the next question, John is a published author, has a textbook, Legal Practice in Australia. Please check with LexisNexis. It's out now. Give it a read, because if you're picking up what John's putting down, you're liking the gems that he's dispensing. There are a lot more that you can read in this book, and you don't have to be in the legal fraternity. You can be a civilian or someone outside of the law who just wants to understand what's going on. Just a shout out to John's book here, Legal Practice in Australia at LexisNexis. You talk about thinking outside the square, John. I'm really endeared by that. I love professionals, legal or otherwise, that think outside the box. Give us a real example, or you can anonymize it and whatnot, that really changed the outcome. And it was like, you were backed into a corner and everyone was saying it was dire, or it might have been a life event, and you thought, you know what, let's just reframe that and move on.
There's been a number of situations where I've done that, and one in particular where there was a client who had been to another firm.
Yes.
And she, unfortunately, they had sort of mishandled her claim and basically said to her, go away, do what you have to do, sue us, we don't care, just we've left you, that's it.
That's it.
And she was in a bad way. And I was sort of thinking, well, maybe we could come at this another way. Rather than simply go and take on the insurer, why don't we do two things? So we'll take on the insurer, but we'll also try and get her claim processed or put through at the same time. And for
Yes. I think I can feel where this is going there, John. Having the two horses in the race, and would have been an exciting outcome. When John comes back online, we're speaking with John Melia from Melia Lawyers. Make sure you put your questions in the comments. We're beaming live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, X, talking to John Melia, and we're talking about the Generalist Edge. And we're going to be talking, we've already talked about his background. We're going to get into family law, crime, litigation, commercial matters that he deals with as well. What separates a good litigator from a dangerous one, how he's built a referral-driven practice, and, what's mistakes that younger lawyers make when handling disputes and whatnot. We're waiting for John to come back into the studio. And we've also got some fun questions like how John wants to be remembered and what's something that people are surprised to learn about John. But I will shout out to Legal Home Loans, our company, for putting on this great podcast. It's great to be coming every week and talking to leaders like John. And if you're into LinkedIn, be sure to check out my own book, The Laws of LinkedIn. You can get on Amazon or wherever you get your books these days. John, you're back, mate. You're back.
Yeah, dropped out.
That's okay, my friend. How did it go having the matter progressing with the insurer? And also,
the claim was accepted. She got paid out.
Boom.
It was a much quicker process than trying to relitigate everything and cost her.
No, I love that. Well done for thinking outside the box on that one. You deal with, being a generalist, you deal with family law, crime, litigation, commercial matters. What's one common thread that clients actually care about across the board of the legal matters that you deal with and you and your team at Melia Lawyers?
One is to understand what's going on. That's a key thing for everyone, whatever it is. Whether it's a summary crime offence, whether it's a personal injury claim, they all want to know to understand what's going on.
Yes.
And I think the second major thing which all practices and all practitioners face are how much it's going to cost me.
Yeah. Let's know. Let me know.
Yeah, let me know. Just let me know what I'm up for.
Piggybacking off of that, this might be a similar or related. What separates a good litigator from a dangerous one?
I think a good litigator is someone who can listen. They can act really quick on their feet if they need to in terms of making a decision or doing what they have to do in a hurry. And I think that they also can explain to the client what's going on and what they're doing. A dangerous one will be someone who's just silent, doesn't tell the client anything about it. The client doesn't understand, doesn't know what's happening. They can't think and they don't know what they're literally doing. That's a dangerous litigator.
Interesting.
Because all they're doing is clocking up costs. They're not.
Of course they are. No. Well said. And look, on the other side, there are some great litigators, lawyers, professionals like yourself that are, the business breeds more business. Like, you've built a referral-driven practice. What do most lawyers misunderstand about earning trust? And, starting out, they put their flag in the sand. They've opened up shop. They're wanting people to repeat business when they get referrals. What do they get wrong? And how can they fix it?
I think not doing what you say you're going to do. Overcharging. So, for example, you set the price in the cost disclosure and cost agreement.
Yes.
And then deciding, oh, you know what? I want more. and overcharging when they've told them already this is what it is, without
Charging
a
like
basis.
wounded bulls. No.
And that's the two biggest ways to kill a referral business.
Well said.
Of word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's the biggest way.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is the same mistake, but what's a mistake you see younger lawyers make when handling disputes in the current market or in previous years that you've seen?
Oh, I think the biggest problem is there's a couple. One is firing off too quickly.
Yes.
And rushing into things without thinking. That's a big problem.
Yes.
Stepping back and trying to understand what the whole thing's about. And thirdly, always wanting to increase costs by just dragging things out. When you could, so for example, the way I practice is instead of writing 5 or 6 letters to my opponent, I'll pick up the phone. I'm old school. I'll pick up the phone, ring them up and talk to them about the matter.
Yes.
We can try and get to the bottom without wasting time. Other practitioners will just send letters after letter and email after email. And sometimes you won't get a response. So
I like that. The old school method. Pick up the phone. One of these things.
It doesn't hurt. It won't kill you. The worst thing you'll get. The worst thing you'll get is the other practitioner saying no. So no. I mean, you're there. I mean, that's what we do. We communicate. We're communicators. We should be able to talk. Pick up the phone.
Yeah, well said there, John. Well said. And look, you're an accidental counsellor as well. Some of us are when we're dealing with high stakes like money or the law and whatnot. But especially your good selves when you're dealing with family or personal disputes. So how do you manage the emotional side of clients and the other side, especially in high stakes matters like family law and personal disputes?
After 24 years in practice and the 6 years as a law clerk, but predominantly in practice,
yes.
I've now become very immune to taking that baggage on. I'm very used to now, like telling them what their rights are, what they need to do, and explaining to them what is a better course of option, etc., without taking on the baggage. When I was younger, I must say, and I think all practitioners need to be careful about vicarious trauma. So we need to be very careful and aware of how things can affect you, especially with the workload and stress, but in particular what we have to see and hear and read and what people tell us happens to them. It's can be quite distressing and hard for a lot of young lawyers. So I think vicarious trauma is a big thing. And when I was going through law school, there was nothing about it. There were no counselling or courses or anything. But now I noticed they're starting to do that. They're starting to have some programs or courses or short CPD seminars about that, which I think the Law Institute of Victoria is doing, which is great. But that's one of the things you need to be wary of. But unfortunately, as you get older and practice more, you develop a thick skin, and that's how you sort of end up dealing with it in the end. But
well, in terms of that, yeah, go ahead.
So, as you know, also having a good family and support is helpful as well.
Indeed. It's probably the most important thing. It's what we're all working for. I'm endeared by what you're saying there, John. And talking about that thick skin, unpacking that a little bit more, was there one matter or moment in your career that really tested your judgment and that was like a shining star or a guiding light, guidepost, if you will?
Just trying to think, because there's so many.
I know.
I know, and yeah, I'm sort of on the spot with that one, but just trying to think quickly. Probably one of the family law matters which had to deal with children, where it was clear the children were getting abused, and it was just no one was listening. Just no one. The Department of Human Services, nobody. And you just felt really, really sorry for the kids. And I think the only guiding thing or way out was to actually, in that case, run the trial and let the judge see. And that was the only way to do it. Yeah.
Having to make those, seeing the painful things and making those hard calls and running it.
Yeah, and just saying to the client, look, you just got to run it. You're going to have to deal with the problems, and it's going to have to be run, because the judge will be the ultimate person who has the power to help you get your kids out of this and help you see them again.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, you certainly doing God's work there with what you're doing. You see some hard things there, John, but you make an impact in a positive way.
We do. We all all practitioners see a lot. It happens every day of the week, and to all my colleagues, we all need to take care of ourselves as well.
Indeed. And in terms of where you see dispute resolution, mediation heading over the next decade with AI and everything, what's your take, your 60-second pitch in terms of where you think the world is going, John?
AI will never be able to replace what mediators do. AI will never be able to replace what barristers or solicitor advocates do. They will never be able to stand up in court and have the human element that's required. The human element of being able to think on your feet, to think quickly, to being able to understand human emotion, and being able to communicate eloquently. AI won't be able to do that. It's just not going to happen.
No.
For example, mediation will require personal touch. An AI bot is not going to be able to do that.
No.
To assess the feelings of how the people in each room are doing.
It can't pick up nuance.
No.
And I saw this at a great talk at the Long Table Lunch last year in WA. A professor got up, and that was his message. It said, AI does a great job. All forms of AI do a great job of mimicking, trying to make it seem like it's like Eliza. You think you're getting somewhere and you're being helped, and you realize it's all a fraud, or that you're not getting actually help, or it doesn't understand. And I think it's the human element and the human nuance, and what we were talking about with Shylock and the Merchant of Venice, being able to feel, being able to laugh, being able to, all those human emotions. Like a machine, never say never, but the versions right now cannot do that.
So, for instance, Cullen, AI will be able to cut down on the workload in terms of processing documents, collating court books, filing stuff, drawing documents. It'll do all that. And that's fine, because what it should do is let the lawyers have more time to do their lawyering work.
Great response. It's all about efficiency and process, but it's all about getting rid of the busy work so you can make a deeper impact and have time for that and be fully focused. That's what I see the real upside of AI, in my opinion. It's certainly helped us in our business as well.
Yeah, that's where I see an upside, even for general practice as well. I see the upside of all that, and I've I've been educated on. I've done a seminar on it, so we all need to keep up abreast with what's going on with AI. But again, it's a tool. It's not what we do.
Absolutely, my friend. Truer words were never spoken. We've got a few people joining on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitch, and everything like that. But we're coming to the end. I've got some bonus questions for you. But before we get into the deep and meaningful question, let's have a fun question out there. You're beaming from Melbourne, and obviously there's a bit of a rivalry between Sydney and Melbourne. What do you reckon? Coffee better in Melbourne or Sydney there, John? You come here all the time. What are your thoughts?
Unfortunately, Cullen, it's Melbourne, and I've been to Sydney a couple of times, and the coffee's better in Melbourne.
Look, I know my Sydney brethren are going to hate me, but I do actually like the coffee in Melbourne. It's actually pretty good, I must say. And not many spaces to sit. They don't really want you lingering.
No.
But it's certainly a takeaway coffee culture in Melbourne.
It is, because they don't want you sitting in the cafe taking up the spot. You're on the internet or using the
no work from home in the cafes in Melbourne. I'll let you know that right now, if you ever venture over there. In a more serious note, one day, like myself, we'll all shuffle off this mortal coil. When that happens to Mr. John Melia, how would you like to be remembered by your peers, your family, and your clients, and your friends, of course?
Just as a good person.
Well, you certainly are that, John. You certainly are that, and you're doing
just
that.
a good person who tried his best.
Well said there, John. Thank you so much for joining. Where can people find you? Where are you hanging out the most?
So the practice address is 107 Gaffney Street in Coburg, Victoria. You'll find me there, and I have a website, medialawyers.com.au, if you want to reach me online. And I've got an Instagram page, and I've started TikTok as well. So I'm around the platforms.
Omni-channel. Visit in person, see on melialawyers.com.au. Be sure to check out John's book. As I said, I'll put my Twitch out there. Why not? Bang, grab John's book at LexisNexis, Legal Practice in Australia, and on the TikTok as well, which no doubt he'll reach 10K followers in only 1 month. I have no doubt. But thank you, John, for coming on the show. I'll bring you back for some bonus questions in a moment, my friend.
And thank you, Cullen. It's been a long time coming.
Certainly has there, John. Episode 85. I'll always remember it. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Bye for now. Take care. And if you are a legend of loan and you know someone who is, and you want to be on the show, LawLive for lawyers, Ledger Legends for accountants, or you're a thought leader and you want to just chat to myself on Live with Cullen Haynes, we come out every Wednesday, try and add value to the community. So please drop me a line, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, omni-channel as well, like John, and we'd be honored to get you on there. Again, thanks to Legal Home Loans for putting on this wonderful show, Australia's only mortgage broker for lawyers. I won't mention any rates, but the sharpest rate might be 5.364 in the market right now. So be sure to check your mortgage. And if you want a good read, you may as well check out The Laws of LinkedIn and John's book as well. Thanks again. You can listen to this on wherever you get your podcast. Bye for now, everyone, and take care. Bringing you back there, John. What's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
I play the guitar and the drums.
But I love it.
Exactly.
There you go. There you go. And if you could give advice to your younger self starting out in the law, what would it be if you could go back in time and give yourself advice at any age?
Look after yourself. Look after your mental health and well-being. Don't burn out while you're young, because what will happen is you won't last the distance in the career. So, for example, I know, Article Clerk, law graduates now, and showing my age there, Cullen, Article Clerks, law graduates, PLT, diploma graduates, the law firms want their pound of flesh.
Of course.
And people are working enormous hours, and they need to just be wary to take care of themselves and not be afraid to do that. I think that's one of the biggest things I would have told myself.
That is so important, setting those boundaries. I think Jim Rohn once said, stand guard at the door of your own mind and your heart. And it starts with the boundaries that you set for yourself. And you're right. Like, it's great to love your work, but don't love it to the detriment of your health, your family, and your own mindset and whatnot. So I think that's a valuable lesson that more people should learn, especially in this information age.
Yeah, correct.
Thanks. Yeah, I think so, John. Thank you so much for joining again, my friend.
No, thank you. I've enjoyed it. And as I said, it's been too long, and we'll catch up, I hope.
We will indeed.
And I'll get that book off you, and I'll give you my book. We'll do a swap.
We'll do a little swap, and I'm sure we won't be sitting down in one of those Melbourne cafes. We'll be standing up, and the owner will be saying, once you get your photo, take your coffee.
Take your coffee and run.
And run. Absolutely, my friend. Thanks so much again, everyone. Enjoy your Wednesday. Take care. Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my book, my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built Legal Home Loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start.
no one knew who we were. We had no money, we had no context, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure, and I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're back